What's up, it's EJ Spark back with another countdown for you, and today we are counting down Pusha T's albums, projects, EPs, mixtapes, whatever you want. We're doing them all because he only has 6 solo bodies of work. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you know that Pusha T is one half of the famous rap group Clipse. Pusha T is really known for his lyrical ability and his storytelling, and he really provides that for us in every single one of his projects. So let's get to ranking every Pusha T project. At number 6, I have The First Fear of God. This is his first solo work after Clipse, and there's definitely some decent tracks on here, but it's no doubt they don't punch as hard as all the other projects that Pusha T has. There's lots of freestyles on here that weren't too bad. The Speakers Going Hammer freestyle, I really wasn't too big of a fan of him going on that type of beat, and I think most people would agree that The First Fear of God is at the bottom of Pusha T's project list. The mixing and mastering wasn't up to par either on the engineering side of things, but like I said, he still shows off his lyrical ability. It just wasn't as good as all the other projects. So my favorite song off this one was Open Your Eyes. Coming in at number 5, I have Fear of God 2, the sequel to The First Fear of God. First of all, this tape had like 5 songs that were just recycled from the first Fear of God tape. So what's up with that? And Can I Live freestyle was just the raid beat played over again. So basically half of this tape was just Fear of God 1, maybe with some better mixing and mastering on it. Besides Changing of the Guards, Amen, Trouble on My Mind, and Bodywork, which were much higher quality songs, I think, than most of the rest of them, the rest was just because half of it was what we had just heard from that previous Fear of God. So Fear of God 2 at number 5, and my favorite song off it was Trouble on My Mind. Do not sleep on Trouble on My Mind because that song's amazing, and I think it's one of his most popular songs. Him and Tyler, the Creator, go hard on it. At number 4, I have Wrath of Caine, and I feel like this mixtape really gets overlooked and forgotten about for I don't know what reason, maybe because it's not on Spotify or Apple Music and you can only find it on DatPiff and sites like that. But this tape, I think, is really, really good. I remember when this came out, I had Only You Could Tell It on repeat over and over again. I loved that track. I loved the beat. I loved the high-pitched voice for the hooks. Millions with Rick Ross was a banger. I just think this tape deserves a higher spot on the list than the Fear of Gods. It was a lot more original, and I think it was also a lot more lyrical and had better storytelling than the other tapes. And I love how jazzy some of the beats are. I love jazz, and this tape does provide some of that in the overall production on it. And the original Blocka, the one that Travis Scott uses for Blocka La Flame, is on this tape, and you can actually hear a very early Travis Scott. I think it's really cool to hear young artists like that on an old project, and it just had a lot of great songs. I really like Revolution and I Am Forgiven Too, and those are a couple of my favorite songs, including Only You Could Tell It. So Wrath of Caine at number 4. Getting into the top 3 here, I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of trouble organizing these top 3. They were all his studio albums with good music. Obviously, Pusha T's the president of good music, so Kanye has a lot to do with them, and they're all really great albums. But at number 3, I have King Push, Darkest Before Dawn. I think there's some top tier songs on here, no doubt. Sunshine, MPA, MFTR, and the intro, incredible vocals, incredible lyrically and sonically. I think the features are amazing. Kanye, ASAP Rocky, The Dream, amongst some other features on the album, but out of 10 songs, there were a couple duds. I wasn't really big on Got 'Em Covered at all. I really didn't like that beat, didn't vibe to it. Still a great album, hard to put it behind the other two, but it just didn't have as much oomph as the other 2 albums. My favorite songs on it are MFTR and MPA. Coming in at number 2, a very hard choice, but I do have My Name Is My Name album. You know, I saw Pusha T on tour right after this album dropped, and I'll remember that night forever. Pusha T put on an incredible show, and I was always a huge good music fan, as many of you know, so that was an awesome night for me. I think the intro track is so hot. I mean, the features on this album, you can't deny. They're all time. You have Chris Brown, Rick Ross, Kendrick Lamar, 2 Chainz, Big Sean, Kelly Rowland, Jeezy, The Dream, Future. You can't argue with that roster. I think the beats go harder on this album than King Push, and that's why it's number 2. I think 40 Acres, that lives on this album, is one of his most underrated, best songs of all time. Nostalgia with Kendrick Lamar, lyrically, I mean, you put Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar on one track, it's a masterpiece. Pain, I think, is a great deep song that goes hard with Future, but once again, it's behind the number 1 album because there were a couple songs I just wasn't as big of a fan of. Like Suicide and Let Me Love You, even though Kelly Rowland lays down some smooth vocals, just wasn't as big of a fan of those two as some others. My favorite songs on My Name Is My Name is 40 Acres, Sweet Serenade, and Nostalgia. My Name Is My Name, number 2. And that could only mean number 1 is Daytona, which came out in 2018 as part of Kanye's productions from that summer. That was such a great summer of albums. You had Nas, Cudi, Kanye, Pusha, great summer. But here's the thing. Daytona is 7 songs, and there was not one dud out of all of them. He was 100 for 100, 10 out of 10. He didn't miss on any of these songs. I think they all go hard. Lyrically, he hit the mark. I think his songwriting abilities on this project were his best that he's ever been. I think Pusha T just gets better as he gets older. He ages like fine wine. Of course, the beats are fire. Kanye's executive producing the thing, so the production and the composition of everything is gonna be fire all the way around. I can't have this album lower in rankings because I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I think every song hit the mark well. My favorite songs were The Games We Play and Comeback Baby. Number 1, Daytona, great album. So that's my ranking of Pusha T's albums. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you switch anything around, and what's that number 1 album? Thank you so much for coming by and watching the video. If you liked it, hit a like and subscribe to the channel if you love talking music just like I do. As always, you can listen to my music on all streaming platforms. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EJSpark1. And as always, you know what it is. It's peace, love, I love s'mores, EJ out.